cop comes and says, "Hey, man, you killed some people out there tonight." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, bro. Shut up." I didn't believe him. I thought he was just full of it. And I called and got my wife at the time, and she's like, "Yeah, we think you killed some people out there tonight." And then I just lost it at that point. Just completely lost it. Just bawling in tears and just broken at that point, completely broken. In my mind, everything's over. Life is over. Everything's over.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Journey to Solutions podcast, where we interview people from all walks of life overcoming the impossible. We shine light on one simple truth: no matter your past, no matter your pain, with the power of God, anything is possible. And today we got a special guest, and it's going to be a very heavy story. This is somebody who is celebrating 22 years of sobriety, 22 years where there was a moment that changed his life forever that we're going to talk about. 7 years you've been out of prison. 7 years you've been with the love of your life,
Megan, yes.
Megan, who we interviewed, and you're going to be getting married in less than a month.
Less than a month.
Getting married. He's a man of God. He's a man of recovery. He's a man of service, and he has a powerful testimony. So I want you guys to get ready because we're going to take you for a journey that's going to be very powerful. So I want to interview Steph Bartlett. Got it right?
Got it.
I got it. Hey, man. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. Glad to be here.
Yeah. You know, your story is one of those stories that, you know, I think people warn people about why we shouldn't drink and drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
You hear those stories like, hey, because this can happen, that can happen. And 99% of the time it doesn't happen, you know,
Right.
But you hear stories.
Absolutely.
Whether it's on the news, whether it's in a story, in a book, whether it's someone that someone knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for you, I mean, now you're thriving. You know, you're a man of God. You go to church. You got recovery. You're always helping people. Like I said, you're getting married. But I feel like your story is really a big thing on like self-forgiveness, like your story is.
Mm-hmm.
So just so kind of people could kind of understand a little bit about you, what was that moment that happened 22 years ago that changed your life forever?
I was celebrating, and again, all this was ego-driven. I look back and realize just I shouldn't have even been there that night. I had a pretty good career as an IT network engineer, making pretty good money for somebody in their 20s.
How old are you at this point, 22 years ago?
I was, I must have been I was 30.
So 30 years old.
Yeah. I'd only been 30 for a few months.
So just turned 30.
Uh-huh.
Great job, right?
Great job. Married, small business on the side, homeowner, already living the American dream. It wasn't enough.
And you were living in what city?
At the time, I was living in South Coast metro area of Costa Mesa, right by South Coast Plaza.
So a nice area too.
Nice area. Owned my own condo there. But yeah, it wasn't enough, you know, until many years later, you discover it was a God-sized hole that you could never fill with things. But in that period of time, I was still chasing.
Yeah.
I happened to be working for a company that was the biggest subprime lender in the nation. That fateful product called subprime that almost bankrupted the world. It seems like countries like Greece and Italy almost went under because of this subprime product, which is essentially people getting massive loans with bad credit.
During that time, remember that. Mm-hmm.
I worked for the biggest company that was selling those loans in the IT department, and and I suspected something was kind of awry even from my side of things. But
why was it so easy back then to get all those loans? Like when all that was happening, why was it just like?
It was a total scam, bro. It was a total setup. So if you had good credit, you couldn't qualify for these loans. You had to have bad credit. And I don't mean just bad credit. You had to have like really bad credit, like in the 500s to qualify for a $200,000 jumbo loan.
Wow.
Right? So right then, yeah, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
Common sense is like, how? Okay. And then, people started securitizing this and trading it as ETFs. They started bundling up this stuff and trading it on the stock exchange. And then what added to that was Moody's came out, gave it a AAA rating. Then you had some of the biggest insurance companies in the world insuring this product. Okay, of course, it's can't lose. Moody's says it's AAA, perfect rating. And then we got, I'm trying to think of that big insurance company that ended up being bailed out, one of the too big to fail, IEG or something like that. They were the ones who insured it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that got bailed out were the ones who backed it. So, of course, I figured they were complicit. There's no way in anyone's mind that was a good idea, that was a good deal. But money was rolling in insane amounts. And I started seeing my counterparts in accounting, in account, I guess, what do you call the account executives? These guys, everybody was doing well over there. Everybody had their Beamers and stuff. But then during this period of time, the account executives, I started watching like Porsche Turbo S's appear and Ferraris started to appear. And I'm like, what are they doing over there? I want to know what's going on in that building.
Mm-hmm.
I get over there and they started telling me all about the loan process. I had known about it from the server side, but not in depth. Rubbed some elbows with those guys and eventually got a job, got hired with them to jump in on this. And at that point, you couldn't tell me anything now.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm about to, and these guys were doing, $15K a week on average, just an average guy. Just nuts money for somebody that's 30 years old back in, 2003. 15K a week in 2003.
Wow.
It's a lot by today's standard,
Yeah.
but in 2003,
Even
that
more.
was insane amounts of money. Insane. So at that point, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is it. Now I've made it.
And you're making that much money off of selling those loans?
Off of selling those loans.
Because you get a percentage. Is that what it is?
You get 1 point on those loans. And like I said, the average loan was 200.
So if I got $200K loan from you, 1 point of that would be about how much?
1 point is 1%.
Mm-hmm.
So 1% of 200,000 times we had 30, 40 loans in the pipeline on average. So
1% was it like 2,000?
2,000,
right?
Yeah.
2,000. So you're just doing that all day.
Just all day long.
Just
in a day.
And you're getting people with bad credit, so you're getting.
And they were so you didn't have to originate them.
Yeah.
They were calling.
Yeah.
They were calling.
Yeah.
So what our catch-all at the company was, we had a whole other building called collections. I had 200 people in this building. That was, when you got one of these loans from us, they would assign you a collections agent.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a counselor, they called it, because as soon as you got it, they were on you.
Mm-hmm.
Your loan's coming due. If you need any help with anything, you had constant contact. They thought that was going to be the strategy until eventually, it was unsustainable, because what they were doing on top of everything else were those adjustable rate mortgages. So you might get it, but in about a year or two in, you get this balloon payment of like 50K or 40K that they didn't tell you about on the front end, and it was a mess. It was a complete mess. And like I said, I knew it. At some point I knew it and proceeded anyway, because everybody was benefiting from it. And, God-sized hole, got to fill it with money. Everybody else is. That was our thing. So celebrating that new job was when all this stuff changed, when everything happened. So that night, after getting this job, went over to the Irvine Spectrum and started celebrating. Started at about 11 a.m. that day. Met some friends over there. Place doesn't look anything like it used to. There used to be a little sushi place in there, and I got some sake right at 11 a.m. Sake, sushi, and a couple hours later, jumped to the next spot. Rock Bottom Brewery was another place that used to be in there. Started drinking there. Went from Rock Bottom Brewery to another bar that was in there, Fox Sports Grill. Notice they're not there anymore. None of these places are there anymore. They closed subsequent to this accident due to lawsuits and things. But, something was off that day, and I knew it. I could feel it. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't put my finger on it. It was usually a fun time for me and our friends, because we were always big celebrators of Halloween. And I mean, like, doing the most. Like, we'd spend, $500, $600, $700 on costumes, putting them together all year long to get, to go sweep all the Halloween costume contests at all the bars. We'd win all of them. Me in particular. Sometimes even just to win $50, I'd spend, up to $1,000 on. We loved it.
So were you dressed up at this point during this thing, or you
No,
had your costume ready?
I was and that was a key thing where I really kind of felt something really, really off. So, and I've been doing this since a teenager. Been really planning out Halloween for months in advance so that, I'm cherry picking every little piece so that's perfect. This year, not so much. I'm like, okay, we're making the money now. You would think, okay, I'm going to get a little bit more money now.
Right.
Let's really go big. No, something was really off. I thought this year, you know what? I don't really feel like looking for a costume this year. And everyone's looking at me like I'm nuts already. I go, you know what? I think I'm going to just go as the devil this year. That's simple enough, right? And they're like, what? Like, yeah, I'll just get it. I already have a black suit, black shirt, black pocket square, just black on black on black, paint my nails black. I found these horns at Hot Topic.
Hot Topic, yeah.
Yeah, they stick right there on the forehead, these black horns, and this cane, which was going to be the centerpiece. This cane that was a big human spine with like a serpent skull on the front of it. Just gruesome looking thing.
Do you feel like when you said something felt off that year, right? You said you always celebrate Halloween for some reason. You just weren't feeling it that year. Do you kind of feel like for you, and when you look back, you're almost getting to this place without even knowing it? Like you're about to realize like it's never going to be enough the way that you're living.
It was darkness. I don't know if it was demonic influence, maybe, who knows? But I know at that point I was not me. There was some part of me that was kind of looking through my eyes, and I was going along for the ride. I distinctly remember that, particularly when I got that cane. Something inside of me was like, what is this? And the other part was like, yeah, this is it. Horrible looking thing. Threw it in the trunk of my car. The car that subsequently never made it home with that cane. Partway through the end of the night, I was there all night. Ended up in one other place. But by the end of the night, I got cut off at Fox Sports Grill. Noticed this really arrogant guy at the bar. And, I don't know if we had words or not. We might have. In any case, I left the bar. Irvine police were called because I guess I was kind of rowdy out there. And they were like, yeah, you need to get a ride home or you need somebody to drive your car. Called my wife at the time to come and pick me up or drive my car home because I wasn't going to leave my car in the parking lot. And she's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. All fine, seemingly. We get out to the traffic signal on Irvine Center Drive, and oddly enough, the street at the time was called Fortune. I don't even know if Fortune's there anymore, but boy, did my fortune changed at that thing. I'm in the left turn lane, and there's a Corvette in front of me, and the guy is not going. Goes green, and I'm drunk. I got the T-tops open, and at the time I'm driving a supercharged SS Camaro. Or I'm riding shotgun in, and I'm reaching over, I'm hitting the horn, I'm yelling at this guy, and this guy gets out of the car, and I see a gun in his belt. At that point, I dive through the T-tops, down the hood, trying to tackle him, and he draws down on me. Wife gets out, she's screaming at this guy, and long story short, he jumps back in his car. I don't know why he didn't shoot me or anything else. Jumps in his car, he cuts out of the left lane, goes right. At that point, adrenaline's flowing. I get behind the wheel and I'm driving the opposite direction. I get on the freeway and I'm just, starting to head home, and I see him U-turning and following me. Now he's behind me. And at this point, I don't know who. All I know is at this point, there's a guy with a gun, and a vet behind me. And I'm stinking drunk in a supercharged Camaro. Just floor it. Boost hits. Thing goes sideways. I ended up causing a massive pileup on the freeway, and I killed 2 people. Same vehicle. At that point, and the sad part is I don't even remember still. It's still blacked out.
What's the last thing that you remember clearly?
Flooring it and the car getting squirrely. That was it.
And then the next part was you waking up.
Waking up in county jail in Santa Ana. In vomit. Pool of my own vomit. Yeah, I was trying to get my phone call. I didn't know how the heck I got there, what's going on. cop comes and says, "Hey, man, you killed some people out there tonight." And I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, bro. Shut up." I didn't believe him. I thought he was just full of it. And I called and got my wife at the time, and she's like, "Yeah, we think you killed some people out there tonight." And then I just lost it at that point. Just completely lost it. Just bawling in tears and just broken at that point, completely broken. Um,
What was going through your mind at that time? If you remember, like the moment where you realize, right, what they're saying is true, like what was it like to like process that?
in my mind, everything's over. Life is over. Everything's over. It's I just dropped everything. There was like literally like no thought to me. It was like, I wasn't like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna go to jail." It was like everything's over. I don't know what that meant to me at the
Mm-hmm.
time. Does it mean I'm not living it? I don't know what it meant to me, but I knew everything stopped. No more work. There's no more nothing. Everything stops right now. Everything stops. Um, so I ended up bailing out. They charged me with vehicular manslaughter. I ended up bailing out and got scheduled. Went to court a few days later. Got scheduled for an arraignment, pretty much immediately. Went back a few weeks later after my mother, who has been notoriously absent from my life, got wind of what happened in some kind of way. Maybe one of my sisters, I don't know. We didn't really have much of a relationship. Reached out and said, "You need to call my friend. He's going to help you with this." And I'm thinking, okay, she's never done right by me before, but I'm terrified right now and everything else. So I'm like, okay, fine. Who's your friend? And she sends me the number and everything. And I call this guy, and the name sounded familiar. And then it started becoming clear that after I spoke to him for a little bit, that I basically just hired Christopher Darden from the O.J. Simpson trial to be my attorney. I didn't know how I felt about that at the time, but I'm like, okay, well, at least I think he's a heavy hitter. I don't know. In any case, showed up to my arraignment, and it was just a an S show, because Darden is a well-known LA attorney. I'm in Orange County, and apparently they can't stand him in Orange County. And right out of the gate, he met eyes with the judge. They knew each other by first name, and they were not friendly. Apparently, they went to law school together, and they couldn't stand each other. So I'm like, okay, this is not good already.
And at this point, do you have an idea, like, have they been telling you like what you're probably gonna get, like how much time you're gonna do at this point, or you don't know yet still at this
Still
point?
don't know.
Okay.
Darden definitely gave me the impression that um, worst case I was looking at was county time, and that was kind of bolstered by um, I guess you get a probation assessment or something inside the jail, and they recommended me for probation, first offense, the whole nine, which basically would probably be a year in county jail, something to that effect. Um, but for whatever reason, with Darden, maybe they thought he was going to get me off altogether. Maybe they weren't used to somebody so-called high power like that coming through Orange County. I don't know. It's pure speculation at this point, but I do know that they dismissed the DA that they had on the case, and they dismissed my charges. They assigned a deputy district attorney, which is higher up, and recharged me with second-degree murder, even though I had no prior DUIs or offenses. I'm like, how is this even possible when, I don't have any prior DUIs or anything like that?
Because what's the difference between first degree murder and second degree murder? What's the
So first degree murder is intentional.
so
That's
like
just
I
walking
plan
a.
to do this to you.
I'm waiting for you to come out, and
Okay.
and I kill you, or however I do it. That's first degree. Second degree is kind of, you've heard of like crimes of passion in the heat of fighting in a bar or something. You pull out a gun, you shoot somebody. That's second degree
Okay.
murder.
So now they're trying to get you on that.
They're trying to get me on second degree murder. Now it is something that they will tell you, apparently, because still I have no, that was my only DUI to this day. I guess if you get a DUI nowadays, I think my case influenced a lot of that. They will tell you that you could be charged with second degree murder if you end up hurting someone or killing someone on your second DUI offense.
Mm.
Um, but for whatever reason, they jumped past that on me. And I think Darden had a lot to do with it. I think they suspected he might, he was going to get me off altogether. I mean, I gave that guy $100,000 to come in for a manslaughter case, which is, murder case money, apparently, from what I hear, to lose, essentially. So he came in and he did not get the charges reduced as they I think was the plan, especially in light of the fact that the DA came to talk to me after I lost, and I was sitting there just flabbergasted. And he goes, "This was not my intention, Mr. Bartlett. We thought we were going to get this. We thought your attorney was going to get this back down. We didn't plan for it to go this way," is what he told me, for what it was worth. The DA came and told me that.
And at that point, when he told you that, did you already hear what they were going to do? How much time you were going to do before they told you that?
No.
You still don't know.
Still don't know. Didn't get sentenced yet. All I know is at this point, I am found guilty of second-degree murder. Then I head back to county jail with that.
And what was your mind like then at that point? Now you're going back to county. Now you know they're charging you with that. What's going through your head at this point?
At this point, I'm thinking, this can't stick. There's no way this is going to stick. We're going to appeal this. I'm going to get out on appeal. Clearly, this was not intentional. How am I being charged with second-degree murder with no prior offenses of any kind? It was just kind of surreal.
And at this point, are you praying at all during this time?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, after I got rearrested at my arraignment because the bail went from $50,000 to $2 million at that point. I couldn't bail out on that, obviously. So I had been in jail for some time after that. But by the time they sentenced me, I had been in jail maybe another month for sentencing. And then they sentenced me to 18 years and 8 months to life in prison.
And what does that mean when they give you like 18 years to life? What does that mean? Like,
that means you do 18 years and 8 months before you are eligible to go before a parole board for a chance at going home. You don't have a date anymore.
So there's not even guarantee. Like
No.
18 years, they can be like, all right, nope, you're not leaving still.
And then you come back in 3 years. They can deny, every time they deny you, it's 3 years, which is pretty standard in California to get denied on the first one. So I'm like, what is this? I tried to get some explanation, and they were like, yeah, you're only the second person in California history to be convicted in this manner. It's called implied malice murder.
And what is that?
I said, implied malice? How do you imply malice? You either have, because, the standard of law for murder is malice aforethought. You had ill will in your heart. You intended to do this. They said I implied malice by going from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. I understood I wasn't able to drive, but I got into the driver's seat after the fact anyway. I said, there's no way this can stick. What is this? I've never heard of this. Gave another $30,000 to some friend of Darden who was an appellate attorney, who subsequently took all of my money, filed everything, lost on appeal because it was not filed properly or in a timely manner, and he was under investigation by the Department of Justice. He was no longer in business at that point, and he was on the run. They were looking for him. I'm like, okay, God wants me here. I actually told my wife that. I said, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm supposed to be here for something. There's no way. All of this is too
Everything's just not working out.
No, this is we're not spending any more money. And at that point, she decided she was done. So she bowed out, and then I was truly solo through the rest of the ride. But yeah, at that point, I just started really doing a lot of introspection. Like, how in the heck did I get myself here? Why am I here? Why does the Lord want me here? Because clearly He does. Clearly God wants me here.
Right.
I had not been, I had not been in church. I had not been following my Bible. I had not been doing any of the things that I was raised to do during that period of time where I had been chasing money and trying to fill that God-sized hole with everything under the sun except God. But early on, like in county, it was, the first thing that got handed to me was a Bible. Like, my first thought was, why are you giving me this? He's like, you need this. Like, how do you know I need this? Like, okay. I still have that Bible, by the way.
Mhm.
Still carry it. So yeah, I was burning the covers off that thing, man, and just starting to get some answers. Not necessarily the ones I was seeking, but the ones I needed.
And what were some of those answers like when you were asking that question, right? So you come to this realization, right? You're telling your wife at the time, I'm done fighting. God wants me. I don't know why, but he wants me here. What was one of those moments in the beginning where you started to get some clarity for you, right? To have peace with where you're at, to be like, okay, God, now I see why you want me here. What was one of those experiences?
Well, let's see. I mean, I don't know that there was any one definitive experience. It just kind of settles on you over time. It wasn't a revelation that came overnight. I mean, it was over some years,
Mm.
And then I just, just kind of found myself doing all the right things. I was, leading Bible studies, and I was facilitating a lot of self-help groups, and I was in church every weekend, and I was learning how to do plumbing and all kinds of this other funny stuff. Um, but throughout all of that, I was growing closer to God. I was leaning on God because that's all I had.
Mm.
I had nothing else. And I think that's what he wanted. So I guess, if to answer your question,
Mm.
that is what he wanted. He wanted me to have nothing else but
But
him.
him to get your attention.
100%. And me being a stubborn type A Gemini, hard in the paint with everything guy, that's what it took for me.
Mm-hmm.
Life sentence, no more wife, no more friends, nothing. Solo, nobody calling you, you got nobody to call. That's what it took for me. Hopefully it won't take that for most people. I know it won't, but that's what it took for me.
Yeah, my pastor used to say, parents would call, I need you to help my son. He just got locked up. And sometimes they say, sometimes prison's a good place for people.
Mm-hmm.
God speaks to people in prison.
Absolutely.
Again, not for everybody needs that, but some
Some of
people
us
do.
do.
Yeah.
Some of us did, and some of us do.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, you're talking about and I was just plagued by anxiety on the streets and just constant mental noise. And you get thrown out in this concrete cell out in the middle of the desert, and it's like your mind is like, the silence now is just deafening. It's like reverberating in my ears, the silence. And in that silence, I started hearing God. I started seeing God, things that only I knew that he was doing, that could not be explained away.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was blatant, because it was just for me, in that I would step out onto the yard and I would get shivers, like, go back inside. And before I could turn on my heels, people are getting shot and stabbed on the yard. That used to happen to me regularly. I can't count 1 or 5 or 10 over the course of years. It became my reality. I would pay attention. If I came out, I would feel what he's saying to me. Could be simply, walk this way, walk that way. And I knew something was up, because I never go that way and I never go that way. But he's sending me this, oh, okay, I'll go this way. And then it cracks off over here. I go that way, it cracks off over that way. Okay, I see what he's doing. He's literally guiding me, guiding my footsteps, guiding everything. So I just started giving him everything, every thought, my feet, obviously, and brought me through hell, essentially, over there. It was nothing nice, man.
And what is that like? Because maybe some people want to. Maybe we have listeners that have been locked up, and they can just understand what you're saying because they've been there.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of people who will never experience that, right? Like that type of what it's like to be locked up and seeing those things. How do you like stay calm? How do you work through that anxiety or the fears that arise when you're in this place and those things are happening? That's just that's where you're at. This is happening. You can't just leave. How do you not let that break you? For you to still find some peace with where you're at when all that's happening?
At this point, not only do I know God wants me here, I'm growing closer to God, but I know he's guiding me. At that point, it's just all trust, all reliance on God. There were days where you watch people die often for one reason or other. Healthcare was horrible, so you'd see some of the old guys that would just fall out, just drop dead in front of you. And you'd see plenty of people getting stabbed, plenty of people getting shot. by the cops. It was nuts. It was you almost become numb to it because so many people. I mean, people that I knew, somebody I might be playing chess with one day, the next day is not there anymore, and you know he's dead. It's like it should have. I think initially there was some shock to it, but I really came to a place of God's will. Everything is God's will. Keep focused on Him. Don't get sidetracked.
Mm.
Um, it really broke me down to a place that it was nothing but God, and that Bible was with my in my pocket every day, no matter where I was. I had that. It was a little new brown New Testament. Um, Total reliance is what it was. Total reliance on God. Yeah, that was definitely it. So that's when I started coming to realize, yeah, this is what He wants from me. Um, Total reliance, um, total lack of ego, no more searching for anything other than Him.
Mm.
And that because that's all I had, and that's it. And while I was there, I would try to spread that message to people, that anybody that wanted to listen. Other than that, just try to uplift people, just try to show them a different way. I always knew I was doing the right thing because it was, a week wouldn't go by where I wouldn't hear from either, um, you know, convicts or officers or free staff alike. You're a lifer? I thought you had a date. You don't act like a lifer. Wow, what are you doing here, man? You don't belong here. All the time. All the time from everybody.
Mm.
Like, what are you in here for, bro? What? Murder? No. So I kept shining that light, just kept doing that. So I get that response. I knew
Mm.
I'm in the right posture. I'm in the
Mm.
right heart posture.
And for you, was it is it how common was it for you to run into somebody that had a similar case to yours there?
None.
Mm.
There was again. There was. Well, I mean, similar. I would say in that somebody that had multiple DUIs and ended up unfortunately taking
Mm.
somebody's life by a vehicle. I think I met two other people during the course of the 14 years I was there.
Mm.
Um, but no one just like mine,
Mm.
obviously. That there's only one other guy. I don't know where he's at. He was in the system somewhere, but
Mm.
yeah, one other guy convicted of implied malice. Um,
Yeah, I think another thing on that too, I wonder, and maybe you could shine some light. Like, there's another part too that I find might be challenging or tough for somebody like that, where it's like, someone might look at you and be like, yeah, like you're not the type of person that would go to prison. You're not that type of person. But
right,
a situation like that happens, it's like, well, you're going to prison. Like, I know you would have never done that intentionally or thought it and what,
right,
but an accident occurred and now you're in there.
right.
Was there any struggle with that kind of going into this place where technically you're just not that person that would probably go there, but you are there? Like, was it easy for you to adapt to that? Did people kind of respect you, show you a little bit more love when they heard your story? Like, what was that like?
Um, I had been through sort of the prison system dealing with, as I told you before,
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
So we visited him at prisons and things like that after his case, and then his son, my uncle. Plenty of times I'm visiting him in jail and in prison. So it's like I was the one that didn't go to prison, right? And so I kind of knew politics already. I knew how
Mm-hmm.
certain things worked already. Um, and then coupled with that, I came in and kind of, kept to myself for the most part. Didn't really, they'll ask you what your case is, what are you in for, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in for 2 counts of second-degree murder. Um, Never been a small guy. I would generally be able to let it ride on that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Just move on. Um, it started getting out that I was a contract killer. I don't know if these people are crazy in there. So in prison, you don't wear contact lenses. I wear contacts. So I had these little round spectacles, and I was always very studious. And I'm the only guy that's got my shirt tucked in and
Mm-hmm.
very neat. Always has my books. And um, a friend of mine that I used to play chess with is like, man, you look like Black Dexter. And that started getting around. So they're like, it created some fear in some of the more cowardly people there anyway. So I, let it ride.
Black Dexter, like Dexter, like the show Dexter.
Like the serial killer
Yeah,
who
yeah.
killed bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was literally watching that show last night. I love that.
like that Dexter. He said, "You have a Dexter vibe." And I spoke like this in prison. You know, no one speaks like this in prison. Everyone's
Yeah.
from the hood.
Yeah.
Everyone's it's rough. I
Yeah.
didn't change the way I spoke.
Yeah.
So, you know, I spoke pretty regularly above people's heads, not on purpose, but I wasn't going to reduce my vocabulary for anyone.
Mhm.
So in the confusion, my size and my charges, I was something that people didn't want to mess with in general.
Mhm.
So, and I was friendly with everybody. On top of it, I was cool with every race, on everything,
Mhm.
you know. So on top of everything else, you know, coupled with that, I was a good guy in most people's eyes, as far
Mhm.
as I knew.
When you ever seen that movie, Shot Caller?
No.
Yeah. So Shot Caller, you should watch it. A lot of people say that have been locked up, or like they go, yeah, like that movie is probably one of the more realistic ideas of what it really looks like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, versus other movies where it's all like, yeah, it's dramatized, not like that. Similar to your story though, but different. Same thing. Drinking and driving, got distracted, crashed, but his best friend was in the car and died. You know, so
Yeah.
different.
That's
But
rough.
you know, same thing. He wakes up and he's like, "Well, what happened?" They're like, "You know, you're in prison. This is what happened." And you
Mm-hmm.
kind of see this person. He was like an accountant. You know, he goes in there, clean cut, same thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you just kind of see how like the story is he's this person just stands out different, and just kind of like adapting to that. But
Yeah.
really good movie though.
You had to, you know, I was very, again, guided by God plus my own intellect.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew I was probably smarter than most people I was going to run into in there. For better or for worse, it is what it is. And I was able to use that to my advantage. You know, I could spot someone that had some kind of plan or something underhanded a mile away. I saw it coming a mile away. So I was able to avoid certain things. If I see certain people in certain areas, I know what's going on. I already know not to go that way. And if I'm really not paying attention, the Lord would speak to me and say not to go that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I was double bolstered. But again, I spoke to everybody, spoke to every race. With my job, I got a job as a plumber, started learning that trade. They started putting timers on people's toilets to save water in California. Like you would get locked out on your toilet. So I made some friends with that. Every race, shot callers, I hooked them all up with unlimited flushes on their toilets. So at this point, you know, so I all strategy, of
Yeah.
course. I knew every shot caller of every car, of every race.
Mhm.
And hey, bro, you want unlimited flushes? You know, they're about to, oh yeah, can you? Well, let me pay you. No, I got you. Don't trip.
That engineer mindset of yours. Look at that
Mm-hmm.
strategy. Yeah.
So it was always strategy.
Got a problem, I got a solution.
100%. So I'm in the good graces of everybody that
Mhm.
runs all the cars, and you know, and I just maintain that stuff. You know, simple little thing like giving somebody the right to flush their toilet as many times as they want probably saved me. I can think of one instance right away. I was working in the gym one day. The gym was all Sereno, and the Serenos and the blacks were going at it after, you know, time and, you know, back and forth. This was kind of a piece, and really was like not even so much the blacks, it was with the Crips. But,
Mhm.
you know, obviously you're black, you kind of all lumped in.
Mhm.
But I'm in the gym and I'm working on their toilets, getting some stuff fixed for them. And again, nothing but Serenos and INS guys are in the gym. And I hear them like screaming and yelling, and they're looking out the windows, and they're getting at it with the Crips out on the yard. So I just keep working, not really thinking about it. Working. The cops are like, "Hey man, we gotta get you out of here." And I'm like, "Really?" I was like, "Oh, all right. Well." Start trying to pack my little stuff up, and then, you know, getting my little plumbing cart together and everything. And then they're trying to escort me towards the front of the gym. There's maybe 300 guys in that gym. If they wanted to get
Wow.
me, it was one copping. And as I'm going out, and I used to go by Phoenix. They used to call me Phoenix. Hey, what's up, Phoenix, man? You got my toilets? What? They're all, hey, what's up, bro? Not even affected. Not even affected. I was not even part of the mix there. Whereas that might have been very different under other circumstances.
Mhm.
But, you know, they all knew me, and I'm good with everybody. And that was guided play as well.
For sure. I mean,
So,
it's like it's almost like your life's like a movie where you see these movies of people like that. But most people say, "Remember, that's a movie, though. Not
mhm.
everyone's gonna win every fight. When this get out of this situation, like it's a movie. Remember that. It's supposed to be like that's not real life. But like with yours, it's one of those scenarios of like this. You're in this place, and like you said, there's all these close calls, things
All
happening.
close
I went
calls.
left instead of right.
Mm-hmm.
I stood back instead of went out.
Yep.
For some reason, I was safe in this scenario. Like I was good versus all this happening.
Yes.
I can only imagine the connection with God that was felt during that.
It would literally
Oh,
be visceral for me to
mm,
walk out and all the hair would stand up on my arms and it would be like, okay, I got to go back in. I
mm-hmm,
don't know why. Or I got to go over here.
mm-hmm,
It would be very profound, which got back to what I said earlier of just, I dropped everything, every pretense of ego of anything else. And he came in, he stayed in, um, and, and, and went from there. But, yeah, every aspect of this thing is a movie. Every branch is a movie. As I told you, the guy initially that kind of set this whole chain reaction off, which probably is why it all went the way it did. That guy turned out to be somebody that worked for the U.S. government.
mm-hmm.
You
The guy that
know,
pulled out the gun, right?
the guy that pulled the gun
Mm-hmm.
turned out to be one of George Bush's, the sitting president at the time. His eight, he has eight that surround him. One of his guys, one of his direct Secret Service agents, who are not supposed to pull their weapon except in defense of the president or in defense of another life.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he draw his weapon on just a drunk idiot? I honestly think they were trying to cover for that. I think he was trying to cover for that, and the DA's office potentially helped with that. There was an exculpatory letter that would have gotten me off because he gave a false report to Irvine PD. We were requesting. Nobody could find that letter. That letter's very key because, after some time and after some transfers to a place called Disneyland, we used to call where all the movie stars ended up at, as far as prison, up in San Luis Obispo, Robert Downey Jr., Suge Knight, a place I was not supposed to ever be able to go as a lifer. I ended up there. And then I ended up being called into the office to see if I wanted to go to the board early. I'm like, I'm not supposed to go for another 5 years. They're like, well, somebody's been looking at your file in the governor's office. Are you ready? I'm like, absolutely, I'm ready. Let's go. And
At that point, when you heard that and you went back to your cell and you prayed with that information, did you feel I'm getting out, or or was it more of just kind of going into a very neutral God, whatever happens, I'm in acceptance?
I felt he was letting me out.
Hmm.
I felt there's no way. There's no way I'm supposed to be going this soon and in this manner. And then on this day, my parole date was October 31st, or my hearing date, October 31st, Halloween, the holiday,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm like, God has a sense of humor, man. Normally I'm wearing all blues. For this date, you have to go kind of off-site to the neighboring level 3 prison. And off-site clothes are bright orange with black lettering. So now I look like a jack-o'-lantern on Halloween. Walk into there, all the officers are in costume. The female officers have witch wigs on, and I'm like, this is festive in here. What is this? And they're like, this is a good day to go to the board. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. I get in there and went with the court appointed. Didn't, no more paying for attorneys. This is God's will, whatever it is. African dude, real cool dude. Um, and we went through it. I basically took, full blame for everything. They want to hear, you know, your remorse. They want to hear your story. They want to know what you've been doing, how you've progressed. During that 14 years, I didn't have a single write up. I had no disciplinary actions. I had degrees. I had all kinds of things that I used during that 14 years of time. I stayed clean and sober the whole time, which is extremely difficult in prison. It's everywhere.
Mm.
Everything is everywhere. It just comes under your door. You just got to be ready to kick it back under just in case. Otherwise, they will assume you want it, and then they'll be coming
Mm-hmm.
to collect later.
Correct.
But yeah, I go through it, and first thing I notice is nobody from the victim's family showed up. I kind of felt that I wanted them to hammer me during sentencing, and they actually didn't during that time. They were like, this man has to live with what he's done, and I'm like, no, I deserve worse than that in my own mind. And they took it easy on me in during the sentencing some 14 years prior, and they didn't even come to dispute it during this time because they have to be notified. And then the DA, who was notoriously argumentative and trying to, they come out specifically to dispute any type of release. He was not disputing. And then what should arise after 14 years? The exculpatory letter showing that the Secret Service agent lied and all this other stuff that night. But here's the letter. So now that confirmed everything. Not only did God want me here, but it was kind of a setup from the beginning. It was kind of a scam from the beginning, but only in that God allows certain things to take place in your life to put you where he wants you. So now I get out and I have this new sense of service, this new sense of gratitude, this new sense of showing people where I've been and where they can, how they can get to where we are now.
Was that security guy now at the end of this, right? It's kind of like a full circle, right? In the beginning, everything was going wrong.
Everything.
Now at the end, I mean, the funniest scenario, they're in costumes, Halloween.
Zero effort.
Everyone
is just flowing.
Perfectly, right? The letter's there. Was that a resentment you had to let go of in prison? Did it re-come up when that letter came out and you're like, I knew it? And like, wow, like technically I was set up. Like a lot of this maybe could have been avoided if that, like, was there resentment towards that person, or at that point were you kind of just so connected with God? No. You heard it just.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No resentment whatsoever. I almost cried when I saw that letter. I was like, I'm leaning over to him. I'm like, where'd you get this? And he's like, and he leaned over to the DA. And I look at the DA and he's like, he's just got a straight face, looked at me and he kind of nodded. And he said, we wish you the best of luck, Mr. Bartlett. The DA.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, nobody's fighting me in here right now. And I said, well, we deem you are no threat to society and we grant you parole.
Wow.
First visit, first time. But that was how it went. And it's still surreal looking back on that, with all the fighting and nothing going right. And it's just kind of indicative of, fighting God, fighting God's will. It's not going to go right. And then on the end, when you finally conform, you let him in, you're doing what he wants you to do. It's just zero effort. And I mean, it's a massive thing to be let go from a life sentence in prison without much ado at all. It was very, go ahead, get on out of here.
And then for you, so you get out, this is 2018, right? So you're out now. So you're out. Okay, 2018. At this point, I think a lot of people now sometimes can get out and maybe go back in. Maybe some people get institutionalized. You see in the movie Shawshank Redemption, the guy gets out, hangs himself, right? You see that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You see what people.
Right.
For you, what did your life look like after to make sure that you were able to stay out?
My heart posture did not change. It was the same as when it was the same as when I was in prison. It was, I got out and I'm the same person that I became in prison. I'm just free now. So it's like, okay, this is novel. This is cool. I'm outside now. It keeps going. I got to find some groups now. I got to find some people to help. I got to find out what the next step is out here, what it looks like now out here. But I mean, I was literally facilitating like 7 or 8 groups every other day. Right away. I was packed from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single night. The weekends came, Saturday, Sunday. I had church during the day on Sunday, but Saturdays and stuff, they were rough. It was like, I don't know what to do. I have all day to myself. I don't need time to myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just kept going. Just went right after it. It was no interruption. It was just shifting. Like, how can I be of service? Where do you want me now? So I started telling this story at AA meetings and telling this story ended up speaking at a church one Sunday, and in walks my fiance with this lady that was stumbling down. I guess she called her. I guess she relapsed, and she called Megan and said, can you help her? Can you help me? And she went to her apartment, picked her up off the floor, and brought her to where I was speaking, not knowing I was speaking, but knowing that the treatment center, which she was an alumni of, was there.
Which center is it?
Yellowstone.
Yeah, Yellowstone. Yeah.
Which is where I was also, because they want you to go through, even though I was at that point when I got out, I was 14 years sober,
Mm-hmm.
but I still went through the program like everybody else. As ordered by the parole board. It was a condition of my release.
Mm-hmm.
Go through a treatment program for 90 days, then do another 90 days to 6 months of sober living.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't be any problem for you since you've been sober so long. I'm, absolutely, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
And did my transition through all of that. But I was speaking, and she came in, and we just kind of locked eyes, and I was like, I remember you used to see her before, but everybody's programming. You're not going to interrupt any program. No 13 step.
Yeah.
Right?
No rehab love, right?
No, none of that.
You got 10 days, I got 20.
Right.
Together we got 30.
There you go. None of that. Now I had 14, so
yeah.
But at the time, but still, I didn't
Yeah.
want to mess up anybody's program, and that was not a thing. So, but yeah, we ended up talking after that, exchanged numbers, and here we are in our 7th year together and getting married in a few weeks. Yeah. So God is active, man. But that was one of the things we actually, as a couple, started going to church almost right away. Started going to the Crossing in Costa Mesa, which is where a lot of us hung out on Friday nights with Yellowstone and Hope by the Sea, and all of them do their big thing
on Fridays on Lifelines.
Fridays Lifelines. That was my spot.
Yeah,
Lifelines.
I'll be speaking there, by the way, on the 5th of December.
Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yellowstone to the left of the stage.
That's how I know Yellowstone, because Yellowstone,
we all Yellowstone. Loud and rowdy.
So was Lifelines? Was Lifelines going on when you were in Yellowstone?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have. Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, Randy's been doing that thing for a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, format hasn't changed. It's still going strong, and to me, that's the biggest speaker meeting I've ever seen, or probably will ever see.
Still is. Yeah. I was blown away when I spoke there last December. Randy told me, he goes, "This is the world record for audience you guys had."
I believe it.
Came, and
it's cool.
So cool.
It was cool, especially during inpatient phase where, admittedly, it's like, okay, I know I was in a cell and everything, but it's like, okay, this is starting to feel a little bit like jail, because
yeah,
little,
Yeah, I get it.
Just saying, I'm fine. This is still way better than jail. Don't get me wrong. This is starting to feel a little bit like jail. But Fridays would come, and it's like, oh man, we can breathe. We can go out. We're out there vaping, and the druggy buggies taking us all out there deep, and it was an excursion.
Yeah, it's like a little concert you go to, right?
It was, it was a big thing.
That's cool.
So that was always a good time. But yeah.
So you get out, you kept your sobriety, you stood close to God, you did right in there. So the person you became, when it was time to come out, you were ready. You're that person. So you did the same thing you do: service, God, recovery, taking direction, right, helping people, living right. I guess the big question comes down to too, right? Because now you have a great job again, right? Yeah. You're getting married. You had a great life. I guess the big thing maybe somebody might want to ask too is like, how did you learn to forgive yourself? Because the reality is, right, those people are never coming back. Families did lose their people, right? Like you said, some people may have a different story where the people threaten the person, they show up at the hearing and don't let them out, F this person, whatever. It wasn't that, right? For whatever reason.
It was not that. Yeah.
It wasn't like that, right? But still, right, it's something that you have to live with. And maybe some people, I would think, you might share your testimony and love, right, to help, because you are a changed person. You might get some haters. You might get some haters like, no, that guy should have stood in forever, not F that. How dare they? Maybe they've had a loved one get killed like that, so they, they don't, whatever. How did you learn to, one, forgive yourself one day at a time? So, and especially now that you have a great life too, after all that, right? And and if you had to, how did you kind of navigate if those conversations ever came up where somebody is being judgmental towards what you did?
I haven't run into any of those, not yet. If that's to come, because I generally surround myself with either broken people or formerly broken people, and we don't judge each other because we've all kind of walked the walk. And I think God has had a lot to say in that. I was harder on myself than anybody probably could have been in the early years of being away. I was I wasn't at peace with the situation, but I was like, I deserve this. This is what I deserve. I don't ever deserve to go home. So from that, a lot, largely operating from that posture, coupled with, this is God's will, I didn't look to ever get out.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly didn't think about anything until, that 18 years and 8 months was up. Maybe then we'll think about it. But at that point for me, it was incumbent upon me to do
Mm-hmm.
the right things, because it was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't with any hope that I might get out one day that I never got a write up or never drank or never did anything. It was the right thing to do, to
Right.
honor my victims, to
Mm-hmm.
honor the dead, to honor the people I took off this planet for, whatever reason God allowed. And I think that is so that I could be doing things like this, is the whole purpose. He allows such things. Um, but yeah, to figure myself, it took a while. It took a realization or an epiphany from the Lord. It came to, um, I was reading on forgiveness in the Bible, and for um, to be forgiven by God, I knew I was forgiven by God, and I had to come to terms with how can I be forgiven by the Creator of everything and still not forgive myself? I'm better than Jesus. I'm better than God to not forgive me. If Jesus forgives me, how can I not forgive me? Who are you?
Right.
That's more ego. I started
Yeah.
equating that to more ego. To hang on to that is like, no, you did wrong to my. That's what I used to do to myself. You deserve all ego, just backwards, but it's still ego, and the devil bolstering it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it got to that point. Jesus forgives me. I don't have the right to not forgive me, or anybody else for that matter, for anything.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lord commands you to forgive your enemy, not 7 times, but 70 times 7,
Yeah.
you're included in that too. Sometimes you're your own enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You got to put yourself in that mix too. So then it becomes a violation of the Bible, a violation of what the Lord is saying to you,
Mm-hmm.
to not forgive yourself. And that's what it got down to for me. And then once you let that go, and again, it was a few years in that I finally let that go, but
Mm-hmm.
I came out in that posture. I had been in that heart posture for years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
To now I can have some input on helping other people forgive themselves.
I was gonna say, do you find yourself drawn to those stories of people?
Yes.
Because you can like,
Yes.
essentially I was at the gym. I don't know the full story, but it was just a quick little headline. I was working out 24 yesterday, and you see, I think a drunk driver accidentally kills 3 people. And just
Mm-hmm.
seeing something like that, I was thinking in my head, I'm like, I wonder if, Steph was at the gym and he sees that, he pauses and kind of just like looks,
Yep.
because
I say a prayer for
yeah,
them.
because you understand, like,
100%.
yeah,
And I can see every single thing, every little step that he's going to be taking right now in this process.
mm-hmm,
Absolutely. So 100%. I'm drawn to anybody that has even been to jail too many times or prison too many
mm-hmm,
times. I find myself near those people at restoration
yeah,
recovery. I find these people, are attracted to me. I'm attracted to them.
mm-hmm,
I see certain mannerisms I'll see certain tattoos I identify right off as prison
yeah,
tattoos. And then I'll already have my eye on this guy, watching him.
mm-hmm,
If they go up to the altar, I'm going to pray with them.
mm-hmm,
Um, yeah. So yeah, I think that's my whole point. Why
yeah,
nobody else spots them. Nobody else knows.
right,
I'll see how they react to certain things that are said, and then I'll know, okay, that was more of a prison reference. He's been somewhere, and I'll talk to him. Like, where you been? Oh, I'm from. No. Where you been? You went upstate, right? How'd you know?
mm-hmm,
I've been there. Former lifer. That carries a lot of weight because these
mm-hmm,
guys they've never done life. They've done a lot of time,
mm-hmm,
probably the equivalent of some of these life sentences, but it's rare to meet somebody that's a lifer that's out and doing anything really, to be honest with you.
mm-hmm.
And oddly enough, I have a few in my life, that I was away with that are just ridiculously killing it out here right now.
What do you find like? What do you find if what do you see in a person, like, like in recovery, you can kind of tell when someone's ready and someone's not. We tell, right? And it's no shame on it. You just know, like, no, it's like I'm gonna love on them, but you can tell they're just not ready, and that's
Mm-hmm,
okay,
mm-hmm.
because when they are, I'll be here.
That's it.
What do you kind of normally see with the person too, that maybe when it comes to like you want to try to help someone maybe not get back into prison. You see that. What do you kind of notice where you're kind of like, okay, I'm just going to pray for them and love on them, but I
Yep.
can't do for them. I can't try to help. They don't want it. What do you kind of see?
I've run into that too. It's kind of heartbreaking, but I also know it's a process, and I'll let them know. Do what you got to do, and reach out. Um, but I know what you're doing. Don't ask me for any money. I know what you're doing.
Mhm.
I'll be here for a word. I'll be here for a prayer. I'll be here for a ride, whatever else I can provide you. But I know what you're doing. You can't. You're fooling everybody else. But don't forget where we both been. I know.
Mhm.
But I also let them know they're not alone either. You reach out,
Mhm.
and we'll start again.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what a blessing, because I see you as somebody like you said, right? It's rare to see a lifer out,
Hmm.
seeing a lifer get out and completely probably change their life trajectory to where
Yes.
almost someone wouldn't even know that you're a lifer. But,
Right.
from an outside perspective, you wouldn't know even
Correct.
that, and
Correct.
having this idea where you're not just sober, right? You also have a healthy relationship. You're getting married.
Yes.
You're not only just sober and getting married in a healthy relationship, you also become successful in your career and at a job on top of it. You know what I mean? You're also in shape. Like there's so many aspects that you got down too, right? The full circle. And I can imagine for people who have been locked up, addicted, probably finding out your story, being shocked, and then
Every time.
and then you can give them hope, like, hey, you can have this life too end better.
Mm-hmm.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Indeed.
You know what I mean? There's no secret thing that says that you can't do it.
At all.
Just put God first and follow me,
100% first.
and I'll be there for you every step of the way.
Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all the other stuff will be added.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else will be added.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. Yeah, I'm just so blessed to hear your story. So blessed to be a part of the same circle that you are,
Thank you.
and you're right. We're not meant to reach everybody, but we're meant to reach a lot of people, right?
Yes.
And the people that you can reach, they need you.
Yeah.
And God knew what He was doing since before you're in the womb, like it says, right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes in life, right, life doesn't happen the way that we want it to, but it happens the way that we need it to when we look back on the other side.
100%. Nothing could have been any different
Mm-hmm.
for me to be who I am and where I am right now.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any dreams or goals that you have for the future when it comes to service? Is there anything that you want to do, whether it's nonprofit, prison ministry, finding ways to give back? Is there any big ideas that you have that you've been thinking on?
I have been thinking on going back into prisons and teaching plumbing. I have a project executive that I work with. We've been discussing that. But on the day to day, I don't know. I've been praying on possibly a recovery ministry as well. Ian's put the model out there.
Right.
What would it be for me and Megan to potentially start up another one on another night, like Brandon and all the other guys let's find another date for us and maybe do something. I want to get into. I'm a member of Oceans.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get us in our new building. We're
There
getting
you
in
go.
moving
You're
into
telling
a
me about
brand
that.
new
Yeah.
$30 million building. I'm gonna just roam around. If I see a room that's just constantly open, I know that's what God's directing, because He put this on my heart some time ago to just kind of kick around, keep it in the back of my mind as a seed, and we'll see. Because there's nothing like that at Oceans.
So think about it. Nothing there for one, the church you go to. Two, there's a new building happening right now, so God's prepping a room for you, right? There's a blueprint already that you can use if you want to use it, and I think it'll be unique too, because what I don't think I have seen from his model yet done, I may be wrong, but I don't know if there is a couple that are both in recovery. I don't think Brandon's wife is in recovery.
Right.
She's not. I remember she was here last week.
You're right.
So that'd be the unique thing too, is you have a couple running it, a married couple, and both in recovery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That could be that could be a very powerful dynamic right there.
I think so. So I have my heart open to that for guidance, or I'm open. Whatever He wants, that's where we're going.
I love that. Yeah, I know God's gonna bless whatever you do moving forward. Here He has. Your life's like a movie. I always say there's some of us that are exceptional. I always say, we're all God's favorites, but I think God has some big favorites. I hear these cool stories. I'm like, damn, God's story's pretty cool. So I know God's gonna do big things with you. You know,
Awesome.
you're gonna reach a lot of people. So for this final part, what I do is I ask people these speed questions, right? You
Okay.
know, real quick answers.
Okay.
Answer how you want.
Sure.
My first question is, I mean, I always ask this question because someone actually wasn't. I'm sure you're a reader, right?
Yes.
You're like, okay. As someone said, he's like, they're like, I was locked up. I read. I was like, oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, we did a lot of reading.
Yeah. If someone, what 3 books would you recommend to somebody that they can read that could completely change their life?
Oof. I told you the guy has a sense of humor. He spit right into my ear. The Bible in 3 different translations. You choose your 3 translations. It's the Bible, man.
Yeah.
I can't push these. I got into heavy of those self-help books when I first went down, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is like not, man, some of this is great advice, but it's missing the heart of
Yeah.
everything. The Bible is all you need to change your life. Everything else is just kind of academic, literally academic.
A lot. Yeah, I learned that too. A lot of I got big into self-help, like obsessed.
Yeah.
Learned how to speed
A
read.
lot.
Like I read it. I know that person. I read that. I read all 4.
All of it.
And then you realize, wait a minute, this whole book that so-and-so wrote is literally based on that one scripture in Proverbs.
Yep.
They turned into a book.
Yep.
That's all it is. So wait, this book too. Wait, that's in the Bible. That's in the Bible. So I can just get all this information in the Bible. So reading all this.
100. You know what I do? I will recommend old school stuff like The Writings of Florence Scovel Shinn. If you're familiar with Florence Scovel Shinn,
What is that
she
about?
puts the biblical verse right in there.
Mhm.
She used to call herself a truth student, but she's one of those metaphysical Christians.
Okay.
Where she literally believes the Lord says, if you tell this mountain to move and it will be moved. She's one of those powerful.
You ever done a Purpose-Driven Life?
I have read Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life. I have read that. Good book. But outside of that, as far as changing your life, yeah, it's I gotta rest on the Bible for that, and then he's gonna guide you to anything that might be supplemental, as it were. Yeah.
No, I love that. What was one mindset shift that completely changed your life?
I am not the center of the universe. Remove yourself from the equation right now with whatever's going on. That was the opposite of what I used to do. I am the center, and everything has to revolve around what I think should be going on right now. That had to go away. That's dead. So that was the biggest shift.
I love that. Yeah, I think a lot of us, right, naturally will gravitate towards self-centered selfishness. Whether it's the addict, that's what we struggle with the most, or just in life.
Right.
What if somebody's like, I think sometimes people have a hard time with that concept, right? Maybe they read into it too much. Like, wait, so do I just forget about myself? Well, then how am I ever going to be successful? How am I ever going to do things that I want to do if I don't think about myself? What do you mean, don't think about myself? I'm not the center of attention. You have to be, right? If somebody was to feel a little confused, how would you break it down to them? Because we can always overthink something like that, right?
Sure. I mean, it's kind of a worldly thought process to do that. You can still be driven. You can still set your goals. You can still, follow your goal. The Lord wants you to be the best you can possibly be. That's why He's, giving you the strength and the guidance to follow certain paths in life. That's why I say for supplemental stuff, yeah, if you're, one of my favorite books I read is Spin Selling and things of that, elite sales and things of that nature. But it's, it's supplemental. It's not the heart of what I'm doing.
Right.
The Bible's the heart of what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're just sharpening some skills.
Absolutely. But for me to say it's all about me and my life and my career, that has to go away. You have to be benefiting somebody else. Or at least in my opinion, I have to be benefiting someone else, whether it's my family, the people around me, or just society in general. Just the airspace around me has to be better for my having been there. That's success to me. But yeah, outside of that, that ego chasing stuff is no. You don't have to inject self into really much of anything that you do at all, to be honest with you. I'm pretty successful at what I do, and I'm not the center of anything going on. I'll be driving the direction of certain things, but it's not, if I'm the center of all of it, I don't care what your input is. This is the way we're doing it. This is the way I want you to do it. No, absolutely not. I'll get my guys out there, and I was thinking we'd do it like this. What do you think? Well, it might be a little better. You're right. We're going to do it your way. No self. Real simple. That was a better idea than what I came up with. We're going with what you're doing. Matter of fact, you're running the next job, David. Excellent.
I love that.
No self involved. Put it on the person. Lift them up. Especially when it's a great idea, so that's what I mean by removing self.
I love that. There was this one reel that went viral, and this guy was saying, he goes, my sponsor told me this. Life's not about being understood. It's about understanding others. And if everybody was to live that way, we would all be understood.
That's interesting. I like that.
And I was like, yeah,
you're right.
Because it removes self.
You're right.
Right. I'm here to understand you. And if you have that same moral compass, guess what? Then you're going to understand me. So I don't need to worry about me.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
100%. I love that. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Very true.
So
Very
I love
true.
that. This one's a funny one. What is the worst piece of advice someone's ever given you?
Worst piece of advice someone's ever given me. Sheesh. I don't know. Goodness, the worst piece. Well, it was probably okay. So there was a time when I was a smoker, and but it became against the rules in prison, so I had to quit smoking cold turkey. I got out and I started seeing people blowing these big clouds of smoke around. I'm like, what the heck is this thing?
Is it the vapes?
He's like a vape. I'm like, what the heck's a vape, bro? What is that? And he's like, it's a vaporizer. And I'm like, they're just taking these big lung hits and blowing these massive clouds around. And I'm like, that is kind of cool. And he's like, yeah, you're going to love this. Here, take this. And I was, man, horrible advice. Horrible advice. I couldn't put that thing down. I was blowing clouds everywhere. Evolved to the Nick salts. And
yeah, remember that? How strong? 50
hand.
grams, at 55, you can get the strongest.
I was at 50s,
Yeah.
Perpetually in my hands. It was
worse,
a fixture.
Right? You wake up, okay, it's right here. I hated that.
Full panic. Leave the house without it.
Drive
going back.
Yep.
Going back.
Buying another one.
Yep.
Yep.
And this was before really, now you got a proliferation of what seemed to be at least quality from what I'm hearing for the people who still do it, disposables. There was no really quality disposable back then. You had to get your juice, you had to get your paints, you had to get your stuff together. And it's just like.
Even the whole fixation of that.
It was all of that. And it was like, man, this is strangely like the party days when we were chopping and we were like, okay, now I'm done with this. We're good.
How long did it take you to quit?
Less than a week.
Okay. How long did you do it for, the vaping?
The whole time I was out. So 4 years, maybe 5 years.
So 5 years of vaping.
And then I quit in a week, in a few days.
And were you trying to quit throughout that process?
I wasn't planning on it.
Okay. So when you quit, you quit.
Yeah. Same with the cigarettes. But Meg came to me because unfortunately she picked up my bad habit and she was like starting to have breathing problems.
Oh yeah.
And she's like, I think I'm getting anxious. I think
anxiety. Oh.
I think I need to quit vaping. Or she comes to me, she goes, I think we should quit vaping. And I said, we should quit vaping. I like vaping.
I can breathe.
I was like, I worked out with it. In fact, I'd be working out, have it in my pocket, stealth vape while I'm lifting.
Yeah.
I'm like, nootropics. That's what, we need that. And she's like, no, I think we should quit. And I'm like, all right. I threw it in the trash. Like, that's it? Yep. So I do stuff. Haven't had it since. That was, I guess, 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's a hard one.
Yeah, that was the worst piece of advice, I think. Yeah. Here, try this. Just try this.
And then for my last question, let's say you have 1 minute with somebody. They're feeling hopeless. They just got locked up for, a mistake. And they're like, my life is over, right? My life is over. I'm never going to get through this. You had 1 minute with them. What would you want to tell them?
I tell them, you're right. Your life is over, but you are going to get through this with the help of Jesus. Lean on him. This is what he's setting you up for. He's setting you. There's a reason why he allows you to fall to your knees, because that's the only way a lot of us will start looking up. When we're standing up on our own 2 feet, we tend to be looking down on everything. We're our own gods. Your life as you know it is over. Get that through your head. Now, let's start planning on the promise that the Lord has for you. Let's start looking for that. Let's get in his word. Let's start listening to his guidance internally, doing what he wants you to do, and you'd be amazed at what he will start shaping in your visible. you'll start seeing it. You'll start getting some scenes of what your life is going to be. But yeah, let that old one go. It didn't serve you,
Mhm.
which is why you're here. Don't lament that. Let that go. It got you to where you are now.
Mm. And then what about for the person that just got out? God gave them another chance at life. They're out day one. They get out. They walk out. But as you know, you have two ways this can go.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to come back, or you're going to go enjoy a good life. You have 1 minute with that person so they can make the right decision. What would you want to tell them?
Man, especially if it was, I tend to not have to tell lifers too much anything. We tend to make up, we have about a 0.5% recidivism rate for people that have done life. When you get your life back, it's a different
Mhm.
situation. Now, the guys that have dates and have
Yeah,
been in and out, those are the ones
let's
that
do
have
that
like
for
80,
those people. Yeah.
85% recidivism rate. It's, I'd be letting them know, like, are you done? How many times do you want to do this? Because the system's got something for you. You're going to keep getting strikes. You're going to keep ending up, and then you're going to end up with like me, but even worse. 'Cause 3 strikes is 25 to life. They're not playing. They're not playing in this state. Um, I'm here if you need anything. I've walked the walk, as you know, and as a lifer, I've been to some places even you haven't been, as somebody that's been in and out. Um, because as somebody convicted of murder, they send you to the level 4. They don't care that they don't look at how it happened. All they
Mhm.
know is you're second degree. I was walking the yard with literal serial killers, people I had seen in the news, and I'm like, this is great. But he brought me through that, so he can bring you through this freedom phase out here. Just stay in the word again. Get plugged in. Get plugged into church. Get plugged into a group, um, and I can help with all that. Hopefully,
Mm. Amen. Well, Steph, I just want to say thank you so much for making time for us,
sure,
especially because it is your sobriety birthday today as well,
indeed.
right? So just thank you so much for making the time, sharing with us, being vulnerable too. You know what I mean? Having no, not holding back,
Right.
letting people know there is light at the end of the tunnel, that how Jesus is so real, right? And just thank you for this.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Mhm.
it.